In the past week, Florida Realtors has provided us with 3 new forms updates. 2 of those have to do with the condo writers. So one has to do with the CRISP, the Contract for Residential Sale and Purchase, and the other, the one that we're going to go over today, is the Comprehensive Rider to the Residential Contract for Sale and Purchase, because most of us use that contract. The CRISP contract reads exactly the same basically in what has been added. So if you note the changes here, those are going to be the same changes in that disclosure as well. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So just to make sure we're on the same page, this is what the top of your contract should look like. Again, the comprehensive rider to the residential contract for sale and purchase. The first change that we see here is number 6. I believe this is page 3. If you'd like to flip to page 3. Just change the wording at the very beginning there, took out buyer is entitled and said seller shall, and then provide buyer with. So just making the wording more concise. It goes on to talk about the governance forms described in section 718503(2)B of the Florida statute. I can't encourage you enough that when you see language like this in a contract or an addendum, go ahead and Google that. Florida is really great about having all of their records online so you can see exactly what that is. But basically, that's the governance forms that summarize key aspects of your condo association governance. So it's those condo docs that we're used to seeing. They've also added a default here. It says the buyer check 1 either requests or does not request, and if left blank, the default is requests. A current copy of the documents specified in paragraph 5 above. Again, that talks about the governance forms, the condo docs, excuse me. And I've listed those here for you. So a current copy of the Declaration of Condominium, the Articles of Incorporation for the association, the bylaws, the rules, most frequently asked questions, everything that we're used to. So that is number 6. Okay, for number 10, they've taken out a lot of wording here because they revised this when all of these new inspection reports, the milestone, the structure, all of those things are coming into play, but they had not been put into law yet. So now that they are an effective law, they've changed the wording to accommodate that. So this wording has been taken out and new wording has been put in, and we're going to look at that next. So with respect to the milestone inspection, basically this is giving the status of this particular inspection. So either it is required and is completed, that's our first option. It is not required to be completed, or it's required and has not yet been completed. So we're just choosing which option that is for the milestone inspection. We're going to do the exact same thing for the turnover inspection. It is required and it has been completed. It is not required, or it is required and has not yet been completed. Finally, the exact same thing for the structural integrity reserve study. Either it's required and is completed, it is not required, or it is required and has not yet been completed. So these changes here is just giving the status of these 3 different reports. Where are we with it? And then you see all of this language here. And basically what this says is check only one box below if the association has completed a milestone inspection, a turnover inspection if necessary, or a structural integrity reserve study. So basically, if the status is on these reports that it is required and it is completed, this is going to tell us how the buyer will receive those documents. So the first option basically is the buyer received these documents 3 days prior to the execution of the contract. So these documents were ready, they were prepared, the buyer has seen them, they've had 3 days to look at them, excluding Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays. The second option is the agreement is voidable by the buyer by delivering written notice of the buyer's intention to cancel within 3 days, excluding Saturdays, Sundays, and national legal holidays, after the date of execution of this agreement by the buyer and receipt by the buyer of the current copy of the inspection prepared. Goes on to talk about those different inspections. So basically this is, we have an executed contract. At that time, these documents are handed over to the buyer. At that time, the buyer has 3 days to make a determination to move forward with the contract or not. If they choose not to, they're going to give written notice of such. And if they have put a deposit down, they will get that deposit back. So this section is only being completed if all of those or some of those studies is required and they've been completed. And again, this just outlines how the buyer is going to receive those documents. So I hope that has clarified the changes to the condo addendum. If you have any questions, feel free to call us here at the association, and as always, call the legal hotline.